Welcome to another month of Celebrate the Seasons here at 2peasinthebucket.com. This month's sketch shows where you can use up to 12 photos across this two-page layout in a strip across both pages, or anything in between. I didn't use quite 12 photos. The first thing I'm going to do is put a piece of white cardstock along the bottom of my right side of my page, and I already pre-cut all these strips. The measurements are available in the PDF file download on 2P's website, and I'm going to adhere these to my background so that I can get ready to add some embellishment. I'm going to be cutting out some circles to frame these butterflies using my Collezzle, so I'm just kind of getting the measurements correct here, and I'm going to lay out my template to see where I want to cut the circle. And I'm going to backtrack a minute and show you how I cut this out on the silhouette. I just went to my library and found the butterfly download that I wanted to use, and I opened it into a new document on my silhouette, and here you can see the design, and I wanted to show the grid so I could resize it to the correct settings for my layout. Each of those little boxes is a 1/2 inch. And then I clicked ungroup because I didn't want to use some of it, and I took all of the spots out of that second butterfly so they wouldn't cut when I cut the design. And then I separated them so I could cut them on 2 different sheets of paper, and I cut everything on the index 90 using the pink tip. Not quite everything, but the Bo Bunny cardstock and thicker cardstocks cut much easier if you use that index 90 setting on your silhouette. Anyway, just a quick how-to on the silhouette there. Okay, I pulled those 2 strips of paper off of my background, and since they have adhesive, they stick nice to the cutting mat for the Collezzle, which is good because I don't want them to move. And I'm going to go ahead and cut a circle out of these papers. Just working my blade through, and then I'm going to just snip the rest of that circle out there. And now I'm going to go ahead and adhere those strips back to the background of my layout. And now I want to cut another circle out of that white cardstock. So I'm just popping that off of my background and going to stick that on my cutting mat again. And I'm just choosing a little bit smaller circle, and I'm just going to cut that out real quick using the craft knife that comes with the Collezzle. And here you can see what it looks like once I've cut both of those out. So then you can see the background shows up from behind those circles. So it'll be a nice little frame from that large butterfly that I cut out. I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing a couple more times on my layout, kind of like it was shown on this sketch. And I'm just going to follow the exact same steps I did before, only using smaller circles. So I've already cut out the one there, and I'm going to go ahead and adhere my photo strip and then the 2-inch strip right above that on my background. Okay, I've skipped ahead just a little bit. I followed the exact same steps to adhere the strips along the bottom of the left side of the layout and the photo strip and everything, except I didn't put white cardstock behind it because I wasn't doing any cutouts on that side. And so now I have some Doodlebug paper frills that I'm just adhering along the top of the layout. You can see up there just for a little, it has a fun little scallop border, and the green looks really nice with the layout. And then I'm going to go ahead and cut my title out using the Quick Cuts Revolution and the Mary Jane alphabet for this word, lucky. And I'm using this velvet crushed cardstock from Doodlebug, which adds a really nice texture. I really like these for creating my own titles and stuff for layouts. And here you can quickly see that I've cut out that word. And now I'm going to go ahead and cut out the word me using this 4x8 Unicase alphabet. I think it's called chocolate. And If you do not want to cut out all the letters and waste a whole bunch of paper, a little tip is I kind of cut about 1-inch squares or maybe slightly larger out of the paper I'm going to use, and I'm using a glittered cardstock from Doodlebug here. Place them right over the letter you want to cut and then run it through your machine. That way you don't waste a whole bunch of extra paper with letters that you know you don't need or whatever. And then I'm going to go ahead and adhere my title to my page, and I'm adding just a little punched red heart there for fun. I'm going to punch out a couple more butterflies using this squeeze punch from Fiskars. Just cute little butterflies to put in those smaller circles. And now I want to embellish that die cut butterfly, so I'm using this raindrop dot background stamp from Hero Arts. I'm just going to ink it up with some Versamark here and then stamp that right onto the top butterfly cutout. Press it really good. I'm going to sprinkle it with some white embossing powder and then heat that to set, and that's what it looks like when it's done. Just adds a nice subtle look. I'm going to add a couple of brads along the top there and the top left and right corners of the layout. Just picked several different green or white brads to complement the layout. And I'm going to use this Fiskars upper crest punch to punch 4 borders that I'm going to use above and below the photo strips, just to help make the photos stand out a little bit more against the background. So I'm going to go ahead and punch those out. I'm going to add a little bit of felt trim along one of these paper strips before I add those white punched borders, and I just ran them through a Xyron sticker maker to make it easy to adhere to the layout. I'm just going to pop those right underneath the edge of my photo strips. And it just really helps the photos stand out a little bit from the background. And I wanted to add to the background a little bit with some stamps, and so I laid the stamps out exactly where I want them to be placed, and then I'm placing my stamping block right over that to grab them, and then I'm going to ink it up really good. Place it right back on my layout. Sorry for my head in the way there. I'm going to get it lined up where I want it and then stamp it on my background. And that's the great thing about clear stamps, is it makes it so easy to see exactly where you're stamping. And there it is. I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing and add that other word together. You can see right there. I just kind of laid it down to make sure that's where I wanted it, ink it up really good, and then stamp it right there below the other words I just stamped. I'm going to do the same thing over here on the right side of the page, up above the photo strip. I'm just going to lay out my stamp to see where I want it, place my acrylic block right over it and pick it up, ink it up really good, and then stamp it there on the background. And now I'm going to just assemble my butterflies that I cut and embellished earlier. Just going to use some glue dots there just along the body of the butterfly. And I'm going to add a brad for the butterfly's head. And then I'm just going to use some pop dots underneath that top layer of the butterfly to give the butterfly a little bit of dimension. And then the last thing you do is just adhere the other butterflies to the layout and a few other embellishments and some buttons, and you're finished. And you have a page that is all about green. Thanks for watching.